Hey kids, it's me, Teacher A. Let me help you on how to find quadratic functions if the given are the zeros of the quadratic function, or if the given is the graph of a quadratic function, or if you're given a table of values. Okay, are you ready? Let's start. So this is our example number 1. We're going to determine the quadratic function with zeros, 5, and negative 1/3. Okay, so I have here two forms of the quadratic function. This form is what you call the standard form of the quadratic function. The second one, this is the vertex form of the quadratic function. Okay, ito yung mas common na form. Okay? Okay. Before we answer this example, let me show you a specific example. Let's have this quadratic function. Y equals 2x squared plus x minus 1. Okay? So we have here a quadratic function. Now, let's get the zeros of this quadratic function. So, what do you mean by zeros? Ibig sabihin ito yung x-intercepts of the graph of f. X-intercepts of the graph of the function f. Ano ba yung x-intercept? Ito yung mga values ng x kung saan magi-intersect yung graph sa x-axis. Value ng x kung saan magi-intersect yung graph sa x-axis. Or, how do you find the x-intercept? Paano kinukuha yan? You let y equal to 0, then solve for x. Ganun lang maghanap ng x-intercept. Okay? O, gagawin natin yan. So, let y be equal to 0. So, I will make it 0. And then, you'll have 2x squared plus x minus 1. So, how do we get the values of x? We use our vast knowledge in factoring. So, we do like this. 2x times x, it's 2x squared. And then, titingnan natin ang negative 1. Okay? So, ang factors lang naman ng negative 1 ay 1 times negative 1. So, I think, dito yung plus 1, dito yung minus 1. If you check, if you perform the FOIL method, you should get this. Okay? Equal to 0. And then, you'll have 2x minus 1 equals 0, or x plus 1 equals 0. So, we compute for the values of x. So, ito medyo madali. Ito, x equals negative 1. You transpose 1 to the other side. And then, you have to change the sign. So, it's negative 1. What about here? You have 2x equals 1. Right? And then divide both sides by 2, what do you get? You'll have, divide both sides by 2, you'll get x equals 1/2. So you say the zeros of this function, okay, are 1/2 and negative 1. Okay? So bakit ko ito pinakita sa inyo? Okay? Kasi yung example number 1 na ito, we are going to work backwards. Okay? Parang dito kayo mag-start, papunta dito. Sa quadratic function na ito. Okay? What do I mean by that? Okay, let's do example number 1. The zeros are 5 and negative 1/3. So it's like x equals 5 or x equals negative 1/3. Parang ganyan. Tapos, transpose to the other side, you're going to have x minus 5 equals 0. Okay? Paano naman dito? Multiply both sides by 3. If you do that, 3 times x, 3x. 3 times negative 1/3, magka-cancel yung 3, you will get negative 1. And then you transpose negative 1 here, you will get 3x plus 1 equals 0. Okay? After getting this and this one, what do you do next to finally get the quadratic function? Ano yung sunod na gagawin? Okay, you work backwards. Here. Okay? You multiply them. So, I will have x minus 5 times 3x plus 1 equals 0. Okay? Let's do the FOIL method. Okay, first terms, you get 3x squared. Outer terms, you'll get x. Inner terms, you'll get negative 15x. And then the last terms will give us minus 5. That is equal to 0. Okay? If we collect like terms here, you finally get 3x squared minus 14x minus 5 equal to 0. Okay? So, this is the quadratic function that has zeros, 5, and negative 1/3. Okay, so this is our second example. We now have a graph. Pero madali lang ito because if you look at this graph, tingnan nyo, anong tawag nyo dito? Ito yung tinamaan ng graph sa x-axis. So, ang tawag dito ay mga x-intercepts. So, let me write. X-intercepts. So, what are the x-intercepts? We have negative 1 and positive 2. So, let's write here. Negative 1 and positive 2. Okay? So, sila lang din yung zeros of the function f. Okay? Sila yung zeros ng ating quadratic function. So, para lang din siyang example number 1. So, it's like x equals negative 1 or x equals 2. And then you do the math. You'll have x plus 1 equals 0. Transpose this to this side. Same here. What do you get? X minus 2 equals 0. Okay? And then you multiply these two. You'll have x plus 1 times x minus 2 equals 0. And then you do the FOIL method. What do you get? First terms, x squared. Ito yon. Outer terms. Ito at saka this one. You'll get minus 2x. Inner terms, you'll have x. And then finally, the last terms. So, you'll have negative 2. That's equal to 0. Okay? So, simplifying further, you will get this. Okay? So, this is the answer for this example. Let's move on to our third example. So, here we have a graph again. Pero, hindi na ito kagaya ng previous example because we don't have x-intercepts. Ang meron dito sa graph na ito ay ito. Sige nga, ano yung tawag sa point kung saan, or sa point sa y-axis kung saan nag-intersect yung graph? This is what you call the y-intercept. Okay? Ano pang meron dito? Here, we clearly see the vertex of the parabola. Okay? This is the graph of a quadratic function. So, what is the vertex? We have negative 2, 2. Okay? Okay, so I think mas useful ang vertex form of the quadratic function para sa problem na ito. So, let us recall the vertex form of the quadratic function. So, here. That one. Okay? So, asan yung HK? That's the vertex. Ito yun. HK. So, we substitute. Okay? When we substitute, we are going to have a x minus, your h is negative 2 squared plus, what is k? 2. Okay? If we simplify, we're going to have y equals a x plus 2 squared. Ito yun, negative, negative. So, it becomes positive. Plus 2. Okay? So, ang problem na lang natin dito is the value of a. Wala kasi tayong value ng a. Pero, hindi pa natin nagagamit ang point na ito. What are the coordinates of this point? It is the point 0, 6. So, we substitute. Ito yung x value. Ito naman yung y value. So, let's do the substitution. Y is 6. Okay. So, this is equal to a. What is x? It's 0. Plus 2 squared plus 2. And then we simplify. So, we get 6. Okay. I just copied a. And then what's this? 0 plus 2, it's 2. 2 squared is 4. So, you get 4a. Okay? Plus 2. Ito yun. Plus 2. Okay? I will transpose 2 to the other side. I'm going to get 6 minus 2. You'll have 4 equals 4a. Finally, dividing both sides by 4. Okay? What is the value of a? A is equal to 1. Okay? So, therefore, the quadratic function, the corresponding quadratic function to this graph is equal to, eto yon, y is equal to, what is a? It's 1. So, you have 1 times x minus, what is h? Negative 2. So, it's x minus a negative 2. So, it becomes plus 2 squared plus, what is k? 2. Okay? So, this is the vertex form. Okay? Paano kung standard form ang hinihingi? Okay? Ano yung standard form? Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So, you can transform this to its standard form. Okay? So, you expand this. What is x plus 2 squared? It is x plus 2 times x plus 2. Okay? And you'll have x squared plus 4x plus 4. Okay? And don't forget the plus 2 here. So, I'm going to copy plus 2. So, therefore, the standard form is equal to x squared plus 4x plus 6. This is the standard form. Okay? So, this is our last example. This time, we're given a table of values. Okay? Let's find the quadratic function corresponding to this table. Okay? So, let us recall, this is the standard form of the quadratic function. At ito yung mga values ni x at saka ni y. Okay? So, let's do substitution here. So, let's start with negative 1, 0. So your x is negative 1 and your y is 0. Okay? Let's do it. So I'm going to write here. Pag negative 1, 0. Anong meron? Ang y ay 0. So you have 0 equals, your 1 is negative 1. So, your x is negative 1. So you substitute. What is negative 1 squared? It is positive 1. Positive 1 times a, you will get a. Okay? And then here, substitute x equals negative 1. Negative 1 times b, you will get negative b. And then you just copy c. Okay? Next point. Let's substitute 0, negative 1. Okay? So your x is 0, your y is negative 1. What do we get? Negative 1 equals, okay, your x is 0. So 0 squared 0 times a, it's 0. So wala na yan. Ito rin. b times 0, wala na. So you'll have c. Yun, may value na kayo ng c. c is equal to negative 1. Okay, let's try another point. 1, negative 4. Okay, so what do you get? Negative 4 equals, so here, okay, and then x is 1. 1 squared, it's 1. 1 times a, you'll get a. Plus b times 1, you'll get b. Plus c. Okay, so now with c equals negative 1, itong una nating equation, the first equation becomes 0 equals a minus b minus 1. Kasi yung c natin is equal to negative 1. What about our third equation? It becomes negative 4 equals a plus b minus 1. Diba? Okay. So, para siyang system of equation. Okay? Aayusin ko lang ng konti pa. Dito. I'm going to transpose negative 1 to this side. Okay? So, anong mangyayari? We're going to have 1, positive 1 equals a minus b. Okay? What about here? Transpose natin ito to the other side. What do you get? You'll have negative 3. Kasi you'll have negative 4 and it becomes positive 1 kapag transpose natin sa other side. So, what do you get? Negative 3 equals a plus b. Okay? You now consider this as a system of equation. You can now get a and b using elimination method or substitution method. Okay? Let's make use of elimination method. So, I'm going to write here. Okay? So, we find a and b using elimination method. Okay? So, ganito yon. I'm going to write a minus b equals 1. And then a plus b equals negative 3. Tapos, I'm just going to add them. Tingnan nyo kung anong mangyayari. A plus a, you'll get 2a. Negative b plus b, mawawala na. Okay? Kaya siya elimination kasi you're going to eliminate at least one variable. Okay? So, 1 plus a negative 3, you'll get negative 2. So, divide both sides by 2. Ano ang value ni a? A is equal to negative 1. Okay? So, meron na tayong value ni C, meron na tayong value ni A. So, si B na lang. Paano natin hahanapin? So, pipili ka lang ng isa sa mga to. Tapos, isa-substitute mo, A equals negative 1. So, kunyari, pinili natin itong unang equation na ito. Okay, let's do it. So, 1 equals A minus B. What is A? Negative 1. So, I'm just going to copy this. Okay, A is negative 1 minus B. Transpose this to the other side. You will get 1 plus 1, you'll get 2 equals negative B. Dividing both sides by negative 1, what is the value of B? Negative 2. Okay? Or multiply both sides by negative 1. You will get negative 2 equals positive B, or B equals negative 2. Ayan, kompleto na. So, itong y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, papalitan nyo lang yung value ni a, ni b, and c. That will be the corresponding quadratic function to this table of values. Okay? So, ano yung final answer? You'll have y equals, what is a? Negative 1. So, you replace this by negative 1. So, you'll get negative x squared. And then, what is b? Negative 2. So, you'll have negative 2x. That's for b. And then c, it's negative 1. Okay? So, this is the corresponding quadratic function. Okay? So, I hope you learned something from this video. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video.